By the time I realized the city was no longer watching me out of curiosity, it was already measuring me. There's a difference between being seen and being evaluated. One is passive. The other is deliberate. I felt it in the way conversation stopped just a second too late when I entered a room. In the way eyes lingered, not with suspicion, but with calculation. I was no longer just Baek Jun-woo's wife. I was becoming a variable. Something had shifted after that night. Not loudly. Not violently. Quiet shifts are always the most dangerous because they feel polite. Controlled. Almost respectful. But respect in Jun-woo's world was never free. It was earned, enforced, or feared. Jun-woo noticed it too. I could tell by the way his gaze changed. He still looked at me with love, but there was something else layered beneath it now. Assessment. Strategy. The kind of thinking that keeps men like him alive. For the first time, I wasn't just someone he needed to protect. I was someone he needed to understand. Protection had turned into observation. The enemies didn't rush. They waited. That was the part that unsettled me the most. Violence announces itself. Patience means intention. Whoever remained understood something critical about me. Fear no longer worked the way it once did. So they adapted. Rumors reached me before threats ever did. Soft lies, carefully planted. That I was reckless. That I distracted Jun-woo. That decisions were changing because of me. Power hates uncertainty, and I had become exactly that. They weren't attacking Jun-woo directly. They were isolating him. One evening, as the city lights blurred against the windows, Jun-woo finally said what he had been holding back. He told me people were beginning to see me as a liability. Not because I was weak, but because I was unpredictable. I asked him which one he believed. He didn't answer immediately. That silence hurt more than any insult ever could. In that pause, I felt the weight of what it meant to love a man like Baek Jun-woo. Not the danger. Not the blood. But the loneliness of realizing that even love must sometimes negotiate with survival. That night, I didn't cry. I sat with the truth. That in his world, affection could be exploited. That attachment could be weaponized. That loving me had once been his vulnerability. Now it was becoming his test. The invitation arrived days later. Elegant. Respectful. Neutral ground. No weapons. Just conversation. The kind of meeting powerful men call peace talks when they mean evaluation. Jun-woo wanted to refuse. I didn't let him. I told him the moment my name became leverage, this stopped being his war alone. I told him hiding me would only confirm their assumptions. Silence would be interpreted as weakness. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. The room they chose was beautiful in the way predators design traps. Warm lighting. Expensive wine. Soft music meant to lower defenses. Men who had ordered death spoke about business and art like nothing was wrong. They watched me closely. Not with hunger. With interest. One of them eventually asked the question they had all come to hear answered. Whether I understood the world I had married into. Whether I knew how fragile power could become when emotions were involved. I smiled. And I told them emotions weren't Jun-woo's weakness. They were mine. That was the moment the room changed. Not dramatically. Subtly. Respect replaced curiosity. Caution replaced confidence. They realized I wasn't afraid of them. Worse, I understood them. When we left, Jun-woo said nothing. Later that night, in the quiet safety of our home, he finally asked me who I was becoming. I told him the truth. I was becoming someone who would not be used against him. That answer frightened him. Because loving me had once been something that softened him. Now it was sharpening him. And sharp things draw blood. The retaliation came quietly. Not aimed at me directly. That would have been too obvious. Instead, it brushed against people connected to me. A warning disguised as coincidence. A reminder of rules I had never agreed to. They expected me to retreat. I didn't. I made my own call. Not to threaten. Not to negotiate. Just to make something clear. That if they continued, I would not hide behind Jun-woo's name. I would step forward with my own. That was the night Jun-woo realized he could no longer keep me separate from the darkness. And that was the night I realized I no longer wanted to be. We stood on opposite sides of the room, both understanding the same truth from different angles. That love had transformed into something heavier. Something more dangerous than either of us had intended. He asked me if I knew what I was doing. I told him I knew exactly what it would cost. The final line hadn't been crossed yet. But it was close enough that we could feel the heat. Somewhere in the city, someone made a decision. A reckless one. The kind that mistakes patience for weakness. And I knew, deep in my bones, that when the silence finally broke, nothing would ever return to what it was. Because this wasn't about survival anymore. It was about ownership. And I was done being collateral. If this chapter pulled you deeper, like this video. If you feel the tension tightening, share it. And prepare yourself. Because part 4 is where everything ends.